Hello there, and welcome to 10 advanced tips and tricks for an easier time in Rimworld. This one is all about quality of life and little things that you can do to get the danger and the difficulties a little bit down without cheating the whole game entirely. Now, let's get started with number one. There's a couple of little mass configuration things in the game that I couldn't live without. So first up in the work area, when you hold down left shift and you click one of these, you can configure the entire tree. So this is one of the things. The other thing that I really love here in the assignment menu is when you want to configure these guys, you now hold down your left mouse button and whoop, drag and drop, and you're good to go. You can do that here wherever you want to, and this is a very, very nice quick thing to do to get your configurations done without having to micromanage every little itty bitty. Now, number two, a couple of little things that you can do with grow zones. So grow zones are not only used to grow crops on, you can also automate harvesting of pretty much any entity there. So you just put down a growing zone below a tree, for example. Then we disallow sowing, which will stop our colonists from putting this plant here down. And now, whenever the tree is fully grown, somebody with the jobs enabled will go there and harvest it. You can do that with everything. Berry bushes, ambrosia, heroot, whatever grows out in the wild and can be harvested can be this way automated. The downside is pretty clear. The plants eventually will die. Every plant has an internal lifetime here, lifespan 270 days. And once that's over, plant's gone, the zone's still there, and you still have to remove it. But I personally live with ambrosia fields with this trick, and that's a really, really easy one. Also really nice if you need a steady input of wood in the forestry areas, can be really, really useful too. Number three, a new tile reset. So sometimes, this is especially interesting for the people who are playing on the higher difficulty levels, the heat on your map is just too high. When you can't fight the enemy anymore, what you can do is form a caravan, get everything in the colony that you want to keep, and then afterwards, after the people are off the grid, abandon the colony and settle down on a new tile. What this will do, it'll reset the threat timer. As you see here in the statistics menu, the game is making your life progressively harder, depending on your on what you've did and what you've achieved. But there is also a hidden bar for progress time on the tile, and this can be reset this way. This is pretty cool for high difficulty runs when you feel like you have had so much time necessary to form up your team, and now you can't fight off the enemy anymore. This way you can reset the tile. There will be, again, one enemy at the beginning and it'll ramp up quite quickly, but this way you can help yourself out of a pretty prickly situation. Number four, queuing up orders. I mean, we all know that we can't just right-click people to force to do something. So chop wood, just like this. I'm sorry, you're the wrong person for the job. So like, seriously, guys. So, Steven. So we can tell Steven to do that. But since Steven is currently doing something pretty important, I just hold down left shift and do my assignments just like I would do it normally, right click and then assign that. But while I held down left shift, I put that on a queue. So Steven will now finish his current task and then to go for the tree cutting. This can be sometimes so useful when you just need something done, but all the people are doing something really useful and important. You don't want to interrupt them. So there's that. Number five, you can control the difficulty of the game with your colony size. I don't mean the physical size, I mean the amount of people in your colony. The game works like that. The more people there are on the map, the harder the combat will be. That's just a simple solution. If you don't like difficult combat, you can, for one, lower the difficulty level, that's one thing. But you can also work around by keeping the number of people in your colony low. This will also keep the amount of enemies low. This can be even taken as far as with people on the caravan. If I would now send 4 people of my colony onto the caravan, the attack would be scaled onto the remaining 2 people in the colony. That's a pretty nifty little thing, and I feel like it's really worth knowing that the game scales its difficulty exactly around the fact how many people you have currently running and how rich you are and how much time has passed. There's another caveat worth knowing. Once you exceed 12 people substantially, the storyteller thinks you're living too much la vida loca and needs to call your numbers down. The severity of attacks will be much, much harsher until you have dropped down to 12 or below. So, number 6, the No Dirt Kitchen. So, this is a sort of an exploit and quite quickly explained, but I found it had to be an equality of life video. So, you can get food poisoning by dirty environment, but you can't get food poisoning by dirty environment if there's no floor on the ground. End of the story. I don't know why the game works like that. I find it quite stupid, but it is what it is. Don't floor your kitchens. You're going to make things harder for yourself than they could be. It's stupid, but it's really, really effective. And also limit your kitchen access to the storage freezers. This way, only the cook can enter. Number 7, storages for special things. So you know that you can configure storages via priority. So if we would now tell this storage to be of low priority, every other storage would be preferred first. What I want to come down to are some things in your colony need to be stored elsewhere, and it's a real quality of life add-on if you follow following rules. Shells and explosives don't go into the central storage. I once had a anti-grain warhead in there and somebody tantruming. You know what I didn't have afterwards anymore. It's a real story. So seriously, explosives don't store them with other things. It'll only lead to tragedy. Same goes for biofuel and all those things. And booze. Don't store booze in an area where the animals are allowed to be at. Animals love to drink booze, and animals love to kill themselves and get themselves liver damage with that. I don't know if it has been finally patched out, but as far as I know, dogs, if they are hungry and they can't get anything else, that's the important thing. They really prefer everything else before they go for the booze. But if the dog is starving, the dog will bite off the cap of the bottle and go for it. And that's not good for them. So booze and explosives, these are the 2 things that I really recommend to store elsewhere. But you can take that, of course, as far as you want to. For example, you can't store things just next door to your workshops and such, but explosives, booze. Number 8, livestock management. So animals can be a very, very annoying part of the game when they just multiply too hard. The auto-slaughtering system that we got a few versions ago fixes that. In case you never worked with it, it's a new-ish feature. It's several years old by now, but many of us play Rimworld for way more than a few years. So here's the deal. We can here configure how much of every gender can be tops in our possession, and then they get auto-slaughtered. We can configure all these things here, and that is for quickly reproducing species a must-have, especially when you're going with chicken and such that just have heavy multiplications on their population. This is just way to go. I really wouldn't want to live without that. And the cool thing is you don't need to mod your game anymore. Just work with that. Number 9, bill management. So we have, when we go into the builds, this menu here is modded, but not of relevance. This here is not modded, this is vanilla. So when we configure our work orders, there's a couple of things that will make life a lot easier for you. For one, ingredient radius. This is something that is so useful. Here in my kitchen, for example, I forgot about that. When you configure these jobs, the ingredient radius limits your cooks or whoever from running across the entirety of the map for picking up things. This is super useful, especially when you're cutting boulders and such. So my stonecutter's table job looks simple like that. It's just limited to the ingredient radius around itself and to the stockpile. Boom. I just lob boulders here that I want to get cut, and by the end of the day, the jobs are done. I just noticed that it's a little bit too small, but you can work with that quite excellent. And the other thing that is also very, very useful to note, you can configure which kind of worker is supposed to be working on a specific job, or what kind of crafting skill should be minimally applied. This is super useful for those scenarios when you want to build a very, very high quality product and you want to make sure that this one specific person keeps working on it. These are really nice to have, and they simplified so many of my processes and my micromanagement organization problems that I hope they'll help you a little bit too. And number 10, your game, your rules. So when you go on in here into the gameplay options, the storyteller settings are yours to define. The custom settings here are open to your configuration, and I personally feel like Rimworld is a game which I love more than many other games, but there's a couple of challenges that I just hate to play around. So here you can help yourself around it. For example, I just hate friendly fire, not because I hate managing my own people. I just hate the caravans randomly killing my people with friendly fire. Happened way too often, so I turned it off. Whatever you don't like about the game can be changed here at this point. And I really want to emphasize at this point, Rimworld understands itself as a story generator. This means you are experiencing a story that you should find entertaining. If there are elements in the game you personally don't like, feel free to skip around them. If you're playing save and load mode, just load the game if something hits town that you just don't want to play around. Or if you're playing commitment mode, usually if you just hit Alt F4, the moment a event spawns, you get the corner before it gets saved. I personally am a fond hater of toxic fallout and other events that just force me to stay the heck inside and wait for it to pass. I hate these because they just bore me to death. And I realize that, your game, your rules. So if anything happens that feels like a crap story and just boils down to frustration, consider reloading and, maybe you would like to fight against a couple of pirates instead. Because one thing is for sure, when something bad happens at a specific time, your storyteller will just roll another die and check out what else he can toss in your face. So there will be something happening. Therefore, it's not really cheating, instead it's re-rolling and hoping for an event that's more fun for you to play around. At least that's how I work with it. But it's a sandbox game, so by the end of the day, it's really up to you how you want to enjoy your game or not. So, I hope this collection of little things was helpful for you, and let me know in the comment section what you would like to share, those little quality of life things that players that play this game for a long period of time. I really appreciate them because there's sometimes little things that make me go, oh man, how couldn't I have done it like this before? And I love to hear new things. Leave a like, leave a subscribe, consider checking out the description box down below. Feel free to support the channel via memberships or donations. I really appreciate all your help, guys, and I want to say especially thanks to you for watching this video up until the very end. I hope to see you around next time, and have a great day. Bye-bye.